Red Glass by Laura Rousseau, Chapter 19, Part 2. When Mr. Lorenzo walked into the room with a plastic bag full of steaming tamales and saw me sitting at the edge of Angel's bed, he nearly dropped the food. Once he got over the shock, he gave me the same tune as everyone else. "Oh, how dangerous for you to come here, Sophie. Gracias a Dios you arrived safely." He took my hand in his, staring at me in disbelief. I wondered if he and Angel noticed anything different about me, because I did. I noticed that the layer of heavy, thick stuff that used to separate me from the world was disappearing, like mist rising and floating away. On my way to the bathroom to wash my hands, I heard moaning from behind a door, the pregnant woman's room. A nurse swished into the room, and I caught a glimpse inside before the door closed. The woman was straining, her face so red it was almost purple. Was she giving birth or dying? I stood for a few moments outside the room, waiting to hear the cry of a new baby. But all I heard were groans and grunts and the nurse commanding, "Empuje, empuje." Back in the room, we ate tamales, and Angel shared his soda with me. Even though the food was mushy, Angel took a long time to eat because of his sore jaw. The nurse who had taken out his IV said that my company was the best medicine now. Mr. Lorenzo finished first and gave a satisfied smile, patting his flanneled gut. "Thanks to you, Sophie, we have our visas," he said. "And once Angel is better, we will go to the embassy and get new passports. Then we will go back to Pablo's village and then to Tucson." Mr. Lorenzo missed his work. He worried that the pool wasn't being cleaned and the appliances not fixed and the flowers not watered. He missed going food shopping at Albertsons, missed his small kitchen and plaid sofa and favorite soap opera. He looked at Angel. "See? You're already healing, hijo. Your body is smart like your mind. In a couple days, I bet you will be healed enough for us to leave." Angel stopped chewing. "I still need to find out what happened to my mother." Mr. Lorenzo breathed out a heavy sigh. "Hijo, I'm telling you. And I still need to get the jewels." "Forget about that, hijo. You are alive. That is the important thing." Angel wiped his mouth with a napkin and folded it. He always folded his used napkins at perfect right angles. "I'm going to get those guys." It took a few seconds for this to sink in. "Don't, Angel," I said. "Let the police deal with it." "The cops are corrupt. They're friends with these pendejos." I looked at Mr. Lorenzo. He was holding his head in his hands. I kept talking. "Angel, they won't just hand over the jewels." "Then I'll kill them." "What?" "I'll kill them and find my mother, and if she's alive, I'll take her back with us." Mr. Lorenzo looked up at Angel. He took a breath, full of effort, as if something very heavy were pressing on his chest. "Hijo, people did bad things to me, to the woman I loved, and the anger wanted to fill my heart. But I decided that my heart would be filled with light. So much light, there would be no room for anger. That's what you must do. That's what your mother would want you to do." Angel closed his eyes. I wondered if he was wishing for his sunglasses so that he wouldn't have to look at us, so that we couldn't see his eyes. For the rest of the day, he didn't say anything about the jewels or the gang or his mother. He didn't say much of anything. Mr. Lorenzo went back to the hotel to sleep, and I stayed with Angel. I'd forgotten to bring pajamas, so I wore my white dress, which was as comfortable as a nightgown. Even so, I tossed and turned in the spare bed, thinking about how strange Angel had acted all evening. He'd hardly spoken to me, and when he had, he stared at a spot on the floor. It was as though his face had turned to stone, his eyes hardened like a statue. The nurse figured he was in pain, so she gave him a sleeping pill and pain medication. I couldn't sleep. I got up and wandered into the hallway, down the corridor, which was now lit by flickering fluorescent lights. I stood outside the pregnant woman's room and listened. No more moaning, but no baby sounds either. Only silence and a strip of light under the door. I headed farther down the hallway, past a few offices, past the darkened cafeteria, quiet in my socks. I stopped in front of the bathroom. I didn't have to go, but I needed some destination. Just when my hand was on the doorknob, I noticed music playing. American music. Classic rock. A scratchy Led Zeppelin song. I padded farther down the hallway and the music grew louder. Around a corner I discovered a room lit yellow by a small lamp filled with incubators and a sink and plastic basins. It was an unexpected sight, this secret room glowing in the middle of the night while everyone else slept. The chubby nurse with the mole was pacing back and forth, holding a little white bundle. Angel had told me she was the head nurse, reina, queen in Spanish, and she did seem to be the queen of the hospital, always there, giving gruff orders with a smile and a wink afterward. I got the feeling she was the hub of the wheel that kept this little hospital going. She rocked the bundle and swayed her hips, singing along, "And we're climbing the stairway to heaven." In the shadows, her face looked soft, and I couldn't see the hair sticking out of her mole. She glanced up and jumped. "Dios mío, gringuita! I thought you were a ghost." Her hand flew to her chest. "Sorry," I said. "I couldn't sleep, and I heard music, and... Is that the new baby?" She nodded. 1 hour old. "Can I see?" She pulled back the blanket, and there was a scrunched up brown face and a shock of black hair and a tiny fist under the chin. The baby was wrinkled and funny looking, with a kind of lopsided cone head topped with a purple bruise. Its lips were white and cracked, and pink bumps covered its right cheek. This baby was definitely not cute, but something about it fascinated me anyway. "Let's bring him back to his mother," Raina said, "now that he's all weighed and measured and cleaned up." She clicked off the little boom box. "Want to carry him back?" I couldn't believe she would trust me with this brand new tiny life, but I held out my arms and she put him in. He weighed less than a bottle of detergent. On the way to the mother's room, I took slow steps, careful not to slip in my socks. "Will his head get more normal?" I asked hesitantly. "Sí, claro," she said. "Just give it a few days." "You know, I was a really ugly baby," I told her. "Even uglier than this one." I studied its smushed forehead. "Not that this one's ugly," I added quickly. She laughed. "And look at you now. Nothing ugly about you." She opened the door and I walked into the room. The mother was propped up on pillows, her hair fallen out of her braid, dark circles under her bloodshot eyes. Surprise flashed over her face at seeing me holding the baby. Then her face broke into a smile, revealing a thin line of silver around her front left tooth. She reached out her arms and I handed her the bundle. She stared at him and pressed her lips to his misshapen head. Tears spilled out of her eyes, tears of horror or happiness, I wasn't sure which, until she looked up and asked, "Isn't he beautiful?" Now he was awake, waving his little arms in the air like an upside down bug. Beautiful, I said. And once I heard myself say it, I realized I meant it. Later, back in the bed across from Angel, I drifted to sleep, thinking how strange that pain and birth, fear and joy were so close, separated by just moments, by a thin wall, by slivers of chance.